This is Art Television.
Coming up, State of Business, sponsored by
ඔබගේ ආදරණීය වාහනය ආදරෙන් සුරකින්න ඉකු ටැබ්ලට්ස් භාවිතා කරන්න.
IWS Aviation.
This is one way of showing convenience, and My SLT is just another name for convenience. Services here, there, and everywhere. Now brought under My SLT. Access all of SLT Mobitel services through one app. SLT Mobitel, the connection.
And a warm welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I'm Heshain Ali and let's have a look at the headlines first. Gaps in the legal system has put the health safety of the employees in dilemma, an educationist asserts. Central Bank suspends the Swarna Mahal finances, but the debtors are asked to settle their dues. News in detail. Sri Lankans at present gravely face the risk of unavailability of good health safety measures, and the situation has been more worsened by the COVID-19. Colombo University senior lecturer Professor A. Sarveshwaran says that gaps in legal system in the country is a major reason for this.
We have multitude of labor legislation in the country. Many of them are overlapping, or some of them have become obsolete, and also we have many gaps in our legal system, I would say. But when it comes to Sri Lanka, when it comes to health and safety at workplace, we have the factories ordinance, which deals with health, safety and welfare of the workers in the factories. But when it comes to the workers in Sri Lanka, they have the risk of health safety at all workplaces. Now the COVID-19 pandemic has shown that everyone is having the risk at workplace. And also we have gaps with regard to biological hazards in workplaces. So when it comes to Sri Lanka, we have gaps in our labor legislation. So mainly when it comes to health and safety, we have only the factories ordinance. But what about the workers who work in other workplaces?
Private sector has high hopes about the younger generation who conduct their higher education in the universities and will be ready to invest in development-oriented research programs. Huawei Technologies Group Vice President Indika De Soisa made this announcement at a function to announce the partnership forged between SoftLogic Information Technologies and one of the world's leading ICT solution providers, Huawei, in Colombo last week.
We are setting up research labs in the universities that the new generation will be able to do research on new technology using our infrastructure. Then we will have more applications built up in our country. Or even we have a program called Seeds to Future, which is we take the university students to Huawei facilities and blend them with the rest of the world, the university kids, and get them to learn the future is all about, what the future technology is all about, and how they need to share or they need to plan their future in the new world, what is, we call it, we are living through a fourth industrial revolution, and it's very challenging for the future generation to be shaped up to face these new challenges, and technology is evolving day in, day out, and how this transformation has to be taken up.
The Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka suspended the business of Swarna Mahal Financial Services PLC in terms of the Finance Business Act with effect from last Monday. However, all debtors are advised to pay their dues to Swarna Mahal Financial Services on time only through the given bank accounts under the name of Swarna Mahal and maintain records for all payments. Having considered the continuously deteriorating financial condition and non-availability of a viable revival plan, the Monetary Board decided to suspend the business of SFSP and its parent company ETI Finance Limited with effect from 13 July 2020. Further, the period of suspension of business activities was in effect until 12 January 2021. CBSL announced that during the suspended period, the company failed to bring in an acceptable revival plan through a capital infusion, even after expiry of almost 6 months from the date of suspension of the business activities. During the said suspension period, a significant amount of dues to Swarna Mahal were collected mainly through gold loan recoveries, and number of depositors requested their remaining deposits to be repaid with such recoveries. Accordingly, the Monetary Board, in the public interest and in the interest of depositors, ordered Swarna Mahal to resume business notionally for a limited period of 3 months. That suspension took place from 13 January 2021 under the supervision of the panel of management appointed by the Monetary Board, subject to specified strict conditions, only for the purpose of repayment up to 50% of remaining deposits. A total of 665.6 million rupees has been paid to 94% of the remaining depositors under the repayment plan by the end of March 2021, and the balance payments are also being processed by Swarna Mahal. All debtors of Swarna Mahal are advised to pay their dues to SFSP on time only through the Sampath Bank headquarters and Commercial Bank Kollupitia branch bank accounts under the name of Swarna Mahal, and maintain records for all payments to avoid any possible litigations against them for non-repayment of dues. Depositors who have not yet received 30% of depository payments made in 2018 and 2019 and 50% repayment of remaining deposits made in 2021 have the ability to collect their repayments during the suspended period of business of Swarna Mahal. Stay tuned for more news right after this commercial break.
මගේ ආදරණීය වාහනය ආදරෙන් සුරකින්න මම පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ එකෝ ටැබ්ලට්. ඔයාලගේත් වාහනයට බය නැතුව එකෝ ටැබ්ලට් පාවිච්චි කරන්න.
ඔබගේ ආදරණීය වාහනය ආදරයෙන් සුරකින්න එකෝ ටැබ්ලට්ස් භාවිතා කරන්න.
Textorium Angkano Navir Killing Vidya Kulambikula.
This is one way of showing convenience, and My SLT is just another name for convenience. Services here, there, and everywhere. Now brought onto My SLT. Access all of SLT Mobitel services through one app. SLT Mobitel, the connection.
අප්‍රේල් 19 වෙනිදා සිට NLB ස්වාධීන වේ. දිනන්න එන්න. අප්‍රේල් 19 වෙනිදා සිට NLB ස්වාධීන වේ. දිනන්න එන්න.
News, views, highlights, updates and opinions. This is Wake Up With Us.
Welcome back after the break. Minister of Foreign Affairs engages in a discussion with a delegation from the European Union with the intention of revitalizing tourism in Sri Lanka. Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardena himself represented the Sri Lankan government side at the meeting took place in Colombo last Friday. Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardena last Friday met the Colombo-based senior diplomatic representation of the European Union, refreshing the ties. The minister updated the envoys on the ongoing processes, including the constitutional reform process, the strengthening of democratic institutions, and on progress related to the implementation of reconciliation mechanisms, amongst other issues. Minister Gunawardena also apprised the ambassadors on political and economic developments in Sri Lanka. The interactive meeting was entailed a discussion on EU-Sri Lanka cooperation, including trade, investment and development cooperation, and plans underway to convene the scheduled Sri Lanka-EU Joint Commission subcommittees following the convening of the 23rd meeting of the Sri Lanka-EU Joint Commission in January. Measures in place for the revival of tourism in Sri Lanka in the post-COVID-19 context and the government's health protocols related to quarantine were also discussed. French Ambassador Eric Lavartu, Italian Ambassador Rita Manella, the Charge d'Affaires of Romania, Ambassador Victor Shugia, as well as the deputy heads of the missions of Germany, the Netherlands and the EU participated in the meeting. Fulfilling one of the most urgent needs of the local apparel sector, Sri Lanka's first ever fabric park will commence operation this year in Eravur in Batiklu. The dedicated textile manufacturing zone in the eastern province will ensure the availability of raw material readily to increase the capacity to utilize the preferential facilities and improve competitiveness of the garment sector.
This is going to be our 16th export production zone, and then next one will be started in Ambanture, the southern part of the country. So this is in the eastern. The purpose of this one is to actually go for this fabric manufacturing, because we are manufacturing very less volume as per the requirement that we need for the country. But once we set up this zone, so then we will be in a position to get at least double of the quantity that we are producing right now. So that will reduce our import in that sector, and also with regard to the regional development. So we need to develop our zones towards eastern and the northern part of the country. So this is why we have decided as the central facilitation body, the BOI, to start the zone in this area. So if we compare the infrastructure development in the zone, so it's going to be a fully fledged infrastructure developed zone with wastewater treatment, road connectivity, the telecommunication connectivity, external side the railway connectivity, the water connectivity, the reliable power supplies. All these things will be fully fledged in this zone. So that's the beauty of the zone, because we have all the infrastructure at one place for the type A industries, so which means so then having more pollutant industries like fabric manufacturing.
The officials who visited recently said that government has already allocated 5 billion rupees to assist with the establishment of the infrastructure on a 262-acre land. About 10 large-scale factories are expected to be set up at the Eravur Park, which will create more than 3,000 direct job opportunities.
This industry has come a long way from the inception, and as of today we are doing about 50%, 55% value addition. But as a country it is important that increase our value addition so that we have control our own resources. So in that context it's important fabric manufacturing comes more internal within Sri Lanka. So we from JAF really appreciate the efforts taken to set up this new fabric park.
And that's all news for today. See you on Monday with State of Business. Until then, take care and good night.
State of Business was sponsored by
ඔබගේ ආදරණීය වාහනය ආදරෙන් සුරකින්න ඉකු ටැබ්ලට්ස් භාවිතා කරන්න.
IWS Aviation.
This is one way of showing convenience, and My SLT is just another name for convenience. Services here, there, and everywhere. Now brought onto My SLT. Access all of SLT Mobitel services through one app. SLT Mobitel, the connection.